Just for your information, the session is live on YouTube also now.
Okay, that's great.
Just for your information. All right. We should start now. So, good morning once again, everyone. Thanks for logging in on a Saturday morning. A special thanks to Ted, who agreed to talk to us on a Saturday afternoon for him. He is in Japan. So, quickly, the reason we scheduled this session today was a discussion in one of the WhatsApp groups about challenges in managing contracts. And those challenges might have increased during the COVID-19 period. We are partners with Kenja. So we thought of arranging this because we believe there is a very good solution platform available. As always, I'll speak a little less about Ted, but I'll request him to talk a lot about himself also in the beginning, so giving his full introduction. Simply to me, Ted is a very senior, experienced person and CEO of Kenja in Japan. Request to all, please keep your mics and videos off during the discussions. But after discussions, we'll have time for questions also. And at the end, actually, we'll request all of you to switch on the cameras also so that we take a picture as well. Thank you very much. And over to you, Ted.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daman, and thank you everyone for attending today. I hope to get to your questions, and I understand that a lot of you are very curious about how to improve your contracts. You might want to know a little bit about me first. So I'm actually American by birth, and I moved to Japan a little bit later in life. I've been an executive in telecommunications. I was global head of commercial strategy for Vodafone, which would be about the same size as, same rank as the CEO of Vodafone India. And I was the chief marketing officer for Vodafone Japan for Verizon Wireless. I moved to Fidelity where I was head of private equity. And I've done things like Bain and Company consulting too. So I understand what it's like to do processes in procurement, because one of my largest customers, they wanted to know how to do procurement better. And that's one of my specialty areas in a different lifetime. But anyway, let me go and show you a little bit about the presentation today. And let me share my screen. Okay, so I want to make sure you can see the screen.
We can. Thank you.
Okay, great. So so I already gave my basic background, and I have started it with a CTO with a lot of experience with IBM. We've been in business for about 10 years now. We've been nominated twice for the Gartner Cool Vendor Award. And our major customers, the ones that allow us to use their logo, are the ones you see. Some of the largest companies, like Randstad is the largest staffing company in the world, and we're dealing with their global CIO. Tooth Rhineland is one of the largest certification companies. So we tend to work with larger enterprise. And larger enterprise, the nice thing about that is that it does scale to mid-size companies. Smaller ones we don't really focus on. That's not my area of expertise. There's plenty of people who do smaller solutions, but we really focus on larger companies. And of course, we have ISO 27001. Um, so the next thing is everyone wants to know on security. Yes, we have a lot of the standard stuff like encryption and administrative controls, but we have a lot of high security options, IP whitelisting, on-premise deployment, two-factor authentication. We've actually added blockchain as well recently. So since our customer base is enterprise, this is why we really need that type of high security because the enterprise really needs that when they deploy. So Kenja as a platform is a very versatile software package. So if you think about it, most everything you do, you have some content, like you have a contract, and you have a task, like I have a contract renewal that I want to make sure in 1 year I can renew that. I need to collaborate on that, and I need to show that it's at enterprise grade, so it's very highly secure. And so that's one thing. And the other thing we do is we also solve an issue of folders. People generally want to store things, and you're used to a folder system. But the problem with folders is not very hard. They're not very easy to share, and they're not very visual. And we make it visual, and we make it content and tasking, and we make sharing much more easier to do. So Kenja, we integrate with existing systems, be it legacy or cloud or enterprise. And we have many different ways, since we're a digital Swiss Army knife, many different ways to interact. So we've been used for project management by IT offices, for training, for knowledge management. And you could see onboarding and digital rights management. There's many different use cases. But today I'll focus a little bit more on purchasing and contract management, since that's an interest for many people. So first, the thing is we want to start with what are the problems in contract management. A lot of problems is that you have a lack of clarity. For example, the people who are originating the purchase request, they themselves have not really focused on what are the key things that they want to get done. As you know, a lot of people say, I need this software, but they don't really understand why do they need it or what exactly are the purposes. Level of involvement is really key here too, is that there's a lack of engagement. A lot of the staff functions say, here, just go ahead and do this procurement. And they're not really engaged with it. So they wipe their hands of it. And the problem with that is that if they're not engaged, then how can they know what are the best terms, and how does procurement know either? Failure to engage means that they're not engaged at the right times either. So a lot of times you'll have a contract renegotiation and people are like, oh my gosh, they get a note from the vendor 2 weeks before that says, oh, you're automatically being renewed because that's in our contract clause. And so they're not engaged at the right time. A lot of times you have protracted renegotiations. So it goes through a series of different compliance people, people who are on who were originally in the requirements phase are now gone. And so that knowledge is lost, and the knowledge is in emails. So when the person leaves, we don't have access to their emails. Focus on wrong terms and risks. So they're really focused on the price, but as you know, the terms of the offer are very important, and sometimes they can be even more important in some ways than the price. Lack of flexibility. So there's a process defined, but then there's an exception to the process, or maybe it's a lack of flexibility on the vendor side. Misunderstandings occur from the lack of clarity. But again, part of it is due to these email chains where a larger purchase doesn't have everybody on board with the same things. Handoff gaps are between, and we're talking enterprise again. So if you're trying to buy a bubble gum at a store, it's very easy, right? Just buy it and go. But as you guys well understand, enterprise, we have a lot of departments involved. And so between the different departments, there's handoff gaps. There's limited technology resources. So I'd like to do something really easy, but the IT department is usually too busy. And then there's poor governance. So we don't really have all the processes in place. So this is some of the things that we've seen in working with our clients. I would just want to see from here and get some feedback as to is there any other issues that you see in working with people? You guys are all here for a reason. I want to make sure I can address your questions. Anything else that you guys see? And please just turn your mic on. And and yeah, Damon, I'm assuming everyone can turn on their mic, right? Do we have to moderate?
Yeah, Padmanabha is helping us with that.
Okay.
My request, yeah,
They
my
can,
request is
the Manu and
okay.
Ted.
Okay.
Good.
So if you
They can
guys can
unmute
see,
themselves.
Yeah,
okay,
Daman. It works.
it says
Great, thank
ask.
you.
They have to ask to unmute though. So somebody has to moderate. The moderator has to
Right.
unmute them. Well, even a show of hands or video, like if you can say,
Yes.
does that sound like the right questions to you? It's very important for me to understand I'm addressing your issues. Remember, this seminar is not for me, right?
I have a question.
Yes.
My name is Agni, and my question is, rather, my input to you is if you can also consider the value of blockchain in this, that would be great.
Absolutely. We have blockchain. I'll show you that in a minute, but that's great. Thank you for that. Any
And
other?
Ted,
Yeah.
I actually had said in the group where this interest uh, initiated, I had said in the group that is world's first blockchain enabled content management system. So you like to make that claim also.
Yeah.
Yes,
sometimes,
that's the reason why I'm interested.
okay. Well, can I just, is there a way to just turn on your video, and if you say yes, or you turn on your video, that shows me that you're interested too. Is there any easy way to see this? Or is there, Damon, can you send out a raised hand or something?
I think the best way would be to respond on chat as a plus
Okay.
one, so you know how
Very
many
good,
people are
thank you.
interested.
Yeah, that's a wonderful idea. Let's see my chat. Chat, I see 4 people. Let's see. Chat. Of 4 people said yeah. Okay. Well, I'll focus a lot on blockchain. Okay, here's the chat. Interested. Okay. All right. Well, I'll make sure to do that. Looks like a few good people on blockchain. Okay, great. So I will talk about blockchain specifically. Now, just to address really quickly though, blockchain for procurement is a really great bonanza. We've applied it not just to procurement, but to anything we do with rooms. So of course we all know that blockchain, one of its very good things is it's immutable. So once you've got it on the blockchain, we got a contract on the blockchain or a set of contracts. The really great thing about this is after we do that and we put a hash on it, then after that, you can prove without a doubt this has not been tampered with, right? It's everybody on the blockchain. All the parties have agreed to what we agreed to. So, so that's basically what it is. Now, our solution to these problems is that we don't really do the creation, although we do versioning. It's really the tasking and handoffs and the contract renewals. And we also have a very easy way to do email integration. We have a easy dashboard and the contract renewal. So I'll talk about that, but really, I know that on blockchain, I'll spend a little bit more time on thinking about that. And basically, so let me finish this part, and then I'll go off onto the into the demo. But basically, you have a procurement process, and I just say this as an example. Our software allows you to create the process that you want to create. So this one happens to be 3 major phases with 4 subphases. Underneath the pre-contract phase, a requirement, RFP, negotiation, pre-contract, and a sign-off. All these steps, you define the steps. So our software allows you to do that, and I'll show you how in a minute. So that's how one company that we work with defined their process. And the thing to know, and I'll come back to this at the end, is that there are soft savings and hard savings. And again, if you guys are listening from a procurement standpoint, you guys will know that your financial officer will want to see, well, what's in it for me, and how can I prove it? As an advice, as you guys know, they'll never take soft savings. So let's say, oh, you mean it, you're more efficient at labor? Well, just because you're more efficient, we're not going to get rid of somebody, right? Right? Well, hopefully we're not, especially if you're in procurement and you don't want to have that happen to you, right? Or we're more efficient because you have cost savings. Well, that's great. I can say that I've got all the information and good information, but again, it's soft savings because I can't really prove that, right? So hard savings is what people are really interested in, and I'll show you how to get to hard savings right there. So on this, let me go now and show you the software. So that's the thing of major interest. So so let me first go to digital contracts. Okay, and so digital contracts is one thing that we want to think about. We want to think about blockchain. Okay, and I'm just going to go straight into this because that was the question that was given to me. So on blockchain, and this is what we call a room. Okay, this is our software. I was talking about the room. Basically, what you have is you have, let me make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, so you have a blockchain and you have a room called blockchain and third-party agreements. I have a room which can be shared with people, and I can make a user to share it. I can put a team to share it, and I can share it with editor or viewer, different rights for this. So we have sharing options. So this is how you make sure that for this contract room, it only applies to this party or this department. You can share it with the department and go with it. So that's one of the things that we do on sharing that's really important. The other thing on a room that you'll notice is that the rooms could be stored in subrooms so that you can see it in further detail. So if I go to this contract room, I'll see some software in here, right? Now, I might have a task in here, and I have a task that goes out to an outside vendor that says, please verify that you agree and sign this. Okay. Right now, I can put it out to a person, and let's just say you put it out as an urgent, and put it as a task. Now, the interesting thing about this is that it's going to assign a task right away. Now, this is where our software is very powerful in combining with a blockchain. Is that basically what you do is you can make sure that the content is verified and the task is verified. See, so you have this this assignment, and the guy now verifies it. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the room actually has a whole, it actually shows you a whole activity log. I see who did what when. So I can actually see that this was actually verified. And when I hash this, it hashes the whole room. So in other words, I can see these are the contracts and the related documents in here. There's an agreement on this. There's a task that I can see. There's even comments I could put back and forth. I can say something like, what did you mean by this, right? Something like that. I can add that comment. I can even put a comment on the page. I can open up that contract without even doing this. Who is this? Whatever, right? I can add a comment, and other people can come by and reply to that. Right? They can reply to it. And so again, you can see the power of this is that I not only upload my proposal, we have contract discussions going back and forth. And now here comes the blockchain. Okay. What it says right here is this room isn't hashed now. I can hash it on the blockchain. Say okay on this. Its hash is now being verified. Now it's been hashed. And if I want to prove that it's a hash, it's now on Etherscan. So we put the Ethereum on it. And this shows you on Etherscan, which is one of the ones that verifies a blockchain. It says, here's the transaction hash, and here's it from and to, and now I verified the blockchain. So that's the blockchain at work. I want to stop here and see from the gentleman who gave me the blockchain question. Do you have more questions on that aspect of blockchain?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
The
please.
question that I had was, when you do versioning and when you capture different versions, do you capture them separately or are they part of the same flow?
That's a great question. Let me go back again to the contracts, and we'll see that. So on the software, one of the things you have is you have the ability to see info and revision. On this one, I can see my revisions, my previous revisions, and I can see I have two different versions of this. I can view the revision earlier. See, that's an earlier revision with a different comment, and I can review even the earlier revision than that. So when I upload it, I can see the comments and versioning from the previous versions. And then on here it says upload new version. That's how I do that. So we have version control, which is a very, very big pain point for contract management. Thank you for bringing that up, because a lot of times people say, what version do we agree to, right? Does that address your question?
Yes, it does. The related question is, so when versions are created, are they separate blocks or are they part of the same block?
No. So they're every time you the way it's implemented right now is that it hashes at that point in time. And so at that point in time, I have a hash on that room, and you'd have to copy that room. And then after that, you do more revisions, and then you put a new hash on it, on the new copy, right? If you wanted to do
One
that.
last question. One last question. Is
Yeah.
the hashing automated?
So right now it's manual, but here's a very big difference of us and the usual software company. On the cloud, remember we founded Kenja to solve enterprise problems, right? Enterprise software problems. 95% of our revenue comes from larger enterprise. And so I'm really focused on that. And one of the things that enterprise wants is high security, but the other thing they want is the ability to customize. And one of the things that we can do is that when we implement this for people, we can say, well, when we implement it, tell us what you want to do. You want to do an automated hash every time I do a new version? I can do that. The reason why is that we've everything you're seeing is our own platform. This is not based on some open source CMS that we have. It's our own CMS, which is why we could put the blockchain on there, which is why we can do that. Now, people will say back to me like, well, if you do that, then your software won't scale and all that. The way that we work around that is that we take the request that we think that will be useful for everyone else. So what you just mentioned is a great idea. I like how if we upload it, there should be an automated hash, new hash generated. And so we can do that. I think that would be very useful for us. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions from anyone else so far on what I showed?
Ted, just one more point.
Yeah.
Maybe you could kind of demo the published rooms and how blockchain.
I will in a minute.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Ted, there are a couple of questions.
Sure.
Gentlemen, RV and RV, if you want to speak yourself. A request is to talk about end-to-end contract management.
Okay, great. That's where I was just about to go.
And the second one is from a gentleman called Omkar. He is saying employee engagement also is a challenge in contract management. So if you could cover that as well.
Okay, great. Those are two great things to talk about, right? So so let me go back to the demonstration. let's see. Okay. So digital contracts. I'm going back to this room. Tomoki, did you give me the link to the contracts?
Yes.
It's in the blockchain organization, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So one of the things is on purchase process automation. Okay. So you wanted to know about that, about the process, not just one stage of it. And that's a great question. Remember that sample process I put up? Well, basically that process, and let me go back to that just to remind everyone. Remember this process? Pre-contract, contract renegotiation. And then there's 4 things underneath this, right? Requirements, RFP. So remember, these can be anything you want, okay? Because we understand that process, contract processes depend on each country. Each company has its own processes. You need the ability to change that on the fly. And so we do that. And so, so basically on the purchase, oh, here it is. On the purchase process automation, it's the same 3 things. I have a pre-contract, a contract, and a contract renegotiation. And then right here, I have, remember the 4 stages: requirements, confirmation, RFP negotiation, due diligence, and purchase agreement. And if I go down here, I got RFP negotiations, I have vendor 1. And I could put everything they have under vendor 1 under one note. I can say the software proposal. Instead of doing an email, I can put the note here for everyone. I can say, look at page 7. Quite surprising. I put that in here, and so the power of this is that without this, I have usually in many software things, they packages, they show you, oh, here's our files. I don't know what's going on here, so I have to send you an email, right? So Rooms is very visual. It has all the information you need right here. And so we see it right there. And remember, we can comment back and forth and we can do all that. So somebody had asked me also about employee engagement. And here's your employment engagement. You got happy people now that are now feeling like they're more engaged into the system. The other thing is you'll have meeting minutes with your customers, and your meeting minutes on your customers, they'll say, you know, easy to update this. They said, now I'll tell you why this simple thing is actually pretty important, is that a lot of times on meeting minutes, there's a guy who stores notes, and sometimes they do it and sometimes they don't, but they distribute the notes. The worst thing is they do it on an email, right? In the email chain, there's a new guy that comes into the process, and then now old guy leaves, and then the new guy doesn't have all the old emails. Email is just awful in terms of sharing. So, but what's the really great thing about this is that this is sharing, and right now it's just Tomoki and I, but I can add another guy really quickly, right? And now he's shared with us, and instead of, you know, forwarding him all those emails, imagine now he's got all these notes and he's giving access to everything all at one glance. That's the power of this system. So we have vendor RFP negotiation, and then going back to here, the pre-contract phase. Now here's how I also include engagement too. Is I can say, okay, I want to get to 100 people, but you know, in procurement, but I don't want them to learn Rooms. That's the procurement system is really designed for only the 10 or 20 people in procurement. I don't want to give them full access to everything, right? So how do I do that? Rooms has a very, very innovative thing. And this is what Gartner Group said. They've never seen this before. But what we can do is we can make this a website. So I'm just doing the pre-contract phase, but I just want to share this. And basically, I can change the style of this. I can even say of the 4 things, the purchase agreement itself, I don't want to share. And then what I do is I publish this as a website. Oh, and when I publish it, I have security options. I can say password protected or IP. They have to be addressed. They have to be verified user, or I can even say it only has to be to these IP whitelists. But anyway, I publish this now. And the beauty of this is when I publish this, then I can share this with anybody. So here's your pre-contract phase. And then under RFP negotiations, I have your vendor meeting minutes. Remember I had that? And here's your vendor meeting minutes now. So that's a great way to have it work. Tomoki, was there one that looked a little bit visually nicer?
Sorry, that's all we have for now.
The room published rooms can look very, very nice. I can show you an example of on a published room, if we this room is quite a big room, but on a published room, we can make all sorts of nice things. So if we have a proposal room, so for example, if you want to make and these show you rooms has many, many different use cases. So it can be used for BCP, telework, security operations center, and RPO, many, many different things. But on a proposal, I think we added too many here now. Okay, here's a proposal. So if you wanted to do like a proposal from Oracle to Nissan, let's just say, and you have summary of the deal, an example of this, and you publish this, just like I did before, it can look like this. So now it looks very visually attractive. I can embed a video in here, right? And you can even look at the white paper, and you can see all this stuff. So this is how you can work with external parties more. And we got the question about engagement, and this is how you get faster engagement with people. The other thing is that, while I'm here, I'll show you this, but the rooms actually can be used for many, many purposes. And again, we're selling it this time for the purpose of procurement, but many of you have been in project management offices, and you have a template like ITIL, and that also has phases like step 1 through 5. And you have a project kickoff. And within this, you have different tasks, and you can see the tasks all listed up like this. And if I want to see the tasks as a Gantt chart, I can do that. And I can even manage my tasks and do the priorities like that. So Rooms has all that capability built in. But again, I was showing you more of the digital contracts in that use case. So want to pause here and see if there's questions on what I showed. Did you guys see that? I realize this with my own software. I show what we do. I'm familiar with it, but it has a range of functions. And for procurement, it really is a killer application because you can get to the hard dollar savings. So, Daman, do I have any other questions from people?
Yes, Ted. One is quick time check.
Yeah.
About 8 minutes before we started questions, but you have attempted to take questions in between. So we can assume that question time also being utilized here.
Yeah.
Employee engagement, if you can talk about that. And after that, I have one more.
Yeah, so employee engagement was I was trying to show the so one way to do employee engagement is now before I was sending you an RFP and then emails and all that, but engagement could be occur when you have a better system which allows for better collaboration. And part of it is that with procurement and the rooms, we can have some rooms that are shared with people on the outside and some that are not shared. And so that increases engagement from people because now they're shared with more than they were before, because a lot of times that security systems say you're either in the system or you're out. Ours lets you share at each room level. So that's one way to increase engagement. The other way to increase engagement is that, remember that visual proposal I showed you? You can have very visual information, graphics that go out to people, and that's another way to have them feel more involved. And for the person who addressed employee engagement, does that answer your question?
Omkar, that was from you. So hopefully your question has been taken care of.
Okay.
Okay. Ted, before I go to the next question. Yes, sorry. Omkar, you're speaking?
Omkar here.
Yes,
So
please.
more technology can help in employee engagement or not? More technology can help in employee engagement or not?
Yeah, definitely. Technology, when it's deployed right, that's the key thing. It can help engagement a lot because, like I said, in sharing options, if people are shared the right information, right now they feel like, they say, I'm a mushroom because I'm kept in the dark all the time and I'm fed a bunch of, right, right. So people feel like mushrooms, right? And instead of keeping them in the dark now, you're able to share with them, and you're able to give them good information. So it's a great way to get engagement with people.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Omkar, for your question also. Ted, the gentleman RB had asked end-to-end contract management, so you covered a bit of that. And here's a follow-up question. In pre-contract phase, can 2-3 different functions handle their contract clauses and the overall admin control it?
Okay, so on the pre-contract phase, can 2 or 3 people?
2-3 different functions handle their contract clauses?
Yeah. So 2 or 3 functions, you mean groups of people,
So
right?
there may be one clause on contract that I have to see as procurement guy, but there may be another clause that perhaps IT has to see.
Yeah,
So,
that's a great
I
question.
hope I'm understanding that question correctly, Abi.
Yeah.
You can speak
Yeah,
yourself.
you're right. You're right.
Okay, thanks.
You're right. You're right.
So the pre-contract phase, and again, this is what you wanted to do it. This is a great example. I'll show you due diligence. Okay. So financial DD, security DD, reputational DD. Let's just say that, right? And this is another way to say, you said it a slightly different way, but financial DD, what I do is I have a room here. I don't, so this is where I put some of the financial stuff in here. And this is where I share it now with different people. I share it with my financial team here. Remember, I could do a group of people, right? So if I wanted to share, I can share it with a group or I can share with individual. And then right here I go back to the DD, and I have a different room, security DD, and you can imagine there'd be a different set of people, and I share it with different people. So that's how you set it up. In rooms, it's very easy to do that. Did I answer your question?
Abi?
I will assume that I did. I know there's only a few minutes left.
No, we have about 10-15 minutes, no worries.
Okay.
I'll go to first, because I saw you had few more slides. So do you want to go through your slides first and then take up the next question?
Yeah, I'll go through a few more slides. So
Right.
let me present here. So this is an example of a process. Remember, I was talking about soft savings and hard savings. And I'm going to advise to all of you when speaking to the CFO is that you need to show hard savings, not soft savings, right? And so they're like, yeah, but can you prove that on the head count? Can you prove on cost savings? Damon's laughing because you're an experienced executive too. So you've been to a few CFO discussions, you know what they're about, right? The only thing they want to hear about is ROI, right? And so I'm going to give you an ROI on this, and I'll show you how to prepare it. Well, first I was going to go through the soft stuff of like, yeah, now with Kenta's solution, we increase clarity, involvement, because now you have tasking feature and you can get people engagement. We talked about that because now you can invite them internally, externally to the information. Protracted negotiations because now all the information is in the room, not in an email. Misunderstanding goes down because now we're sharing information better. We're able to, the IT department does not have to be involved in this. We can actually implement it without with minimal IT support. I shouldn't say no IT support. And this also allows you to do a process. So the process allows you to have good governance. Now, here's how to get through to your CFO. And this is with an actual customer. We've gone through these numbers. They had 200 cases where, but they saw they had medium-sized contracts in their case. The large contracts, just let's be honest, large contracts, there's 5 or 10 or 20 of these large contracts, and everyone knows them. There's no needless large contracts. I hope not. Otherwise there's some really big errors. But there's a lot of medium contracts where if it's 200 medium-sized contracts, can you imagine? In this company, we did see that they had 47 were multiple year contracts, and they 1 out of 27 could have been prevented, and therefore, so in other words, there's a multiple year contract, and there was a renewal, and 1 out of those cases, so 1 out of 207 cases, 1 out of slightly more than that, but basically less than 1% of cases could have been prevented, 1.74 cases. And then if you could have prevented that, that was 100% savings, right? And so their contract size was $35,000. Let's say yours is 1/10 of that, $3,500, but you're still going to save $3,500 a year, right? Next thing is there are reduction in costs from earlier engagement. So what does that mean? Is that they found that 10% of their cases could have been improved if they had earlier engagement. Earlier engagement meant that 20 of the cases they could have had a better negotiation, because you know how that works is that if you don't have a contract repository, you've got thousands of contracts on your database. This particular customer didn't have the manpower to go through individually and have a reminder of every contract that was up for negotiation, a reminder that goes this. Remember, in rooms, you have a contract, you have a task that you give yourself 11 months from now or 9 months from now. Let's review this contract, right? Because before it gets under, before it's too late to do the contract renegotiation for extension. And so they were able to find that in that they had an average percent of savings of 16% per case. And again, it resulted in $125,000 in that. And again, maybe your contract size is 1/10 of that. So soft savings, again, Damon's going to laugh because soft savings, the CFO is going to throw out. And if you're non-financial, you think, oh, I've got labor negotiation. Is that hard saving? No, they're not going to include it. Better negotiation? No, but you can prove that you have better contract renewals. You have unneeded contracts. And remember, for this, my Japanese customer was $62,000 of savings. For you, it's $6,200 of savings. Earlier engagement, it's $12,000 of savings. So that's a savings of $18,700. And our standard price is $10,000. So for a whole enterprise, that includes 25 standard licenses, advanced licenses, and 100 extended licenses, so that the people outside of procurement can use it. So that's 187% ROI. And the $10,000 price is an India only price. And I did this in collaboration with Core. But I want to kind of do this a little bit of excitement, and thank you for attending. So I want to say, for the first 5 people who sign up from this show, from these people who are actually attending, I'll give you a 50% off. So if you sign up and get together with Damon and team and Tarun, I'll give you guys 50% off. Yeah, and I don't have Ginsu knives, but that's the American joke, at least. I'll throw in these butcher knives if you want as well with the stuff. But but we're very happy to give you something of real value. I'd love to work with you guys to define that and help with it. So that's basically my presentation. Want to see if there's any questions from there.
Thank you very much, Ted. And I like the last four. I like numbers. Numbers speak of themselves.
Yeah.
And management by numbers, etc., etc. Impressive, also, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you very much. Yes,
and that's 187% ROI for the
I
usual
like that.
one,
Yes.
and 374% ROI on the discounted. And can I tell you something? If you bring that to your CFO, that will get approved.
I believe so.
Right?
I believe so. Yes. And it's very helpful. I think this is what is going to be helping in taking decisions. So three gentlemen asked questions, Arvi, Onkar, and Agni. So thanks to you. And Agni has one more question related not to contract management, but to other capabilities of Keja rooms. And he says he would like to see BCP and crisis management sections if possible.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. Let's see, let me go back to screen share. Screen share. Okay, so going back to BCP, let me get out of this here for a second. Okay, and I'm in. I'm in a publish room. Sorry. Okay, so this is I've shown you the PMO, and let me show you. From the master rooms, we have again all these different types of use cases. BCP is right here. So okay, you don't want to see the Japanese version, I'm guessing, right? All right. So on BCP,
not yet. Maybe
No.
one day, but not yet.
So BCP, again, this is one consultant. It was based on a Big Four consulting model, but remember, we map any sort of process. So here it's prepare fundamental policies, check important products, go to individual roles, and this is where we're preparing fundamental policies, and we have tasks against this, and on this we are updating all the information here. So this shows you this now. Actually, what I'm realizing is that I want to switch over probably to the BCP org. I have a specific org just for BCP. Okay, so BCP org. So there's many different use cases. We have one customer that did a DR information management. Another one that did ISO 22301 template. Maybe this is not it. Smokey, are you still on the call? He's not on the call.
Yeah, I'm on the call. Sorry, it took me a while to unmute myself.
Yeah, but which is the latest room on BCP here?
Non-ISO consultant template.
Okay, all right. All right, so here's an example of a process. So so you this is how processes are usually done, all right? They're all done on we've seen this is a simple example, but everybody uses PDFs or Word docs, right? And the problem is with that, it's a very brittle plan because it cannot be changed on the fly. So as things get, as your crisis actually hits, and you want to actually do a plan that's more dynamic. The problem is that it's an RFP. I mean, it's a PDF, so it's going to break. So what we do instead of doing this, you had the 4 same steps. You see how we put it into 4 different steps here is mitigation planning, recovery strategies, development plans, and training and awareness. So we can do things on the fly. And if I go training and awareness and I see emergency response, and then within that, maybe we have fire emergency response, and a test announcement. You see how it keeps drilling down? And so what do you do when it counts on a fire, right? And then there's a building evacuation. See how much information and how deep it can go, right? So now this is where the published room comes into play too, is that I have a published room, and there's a published room here, and you might have a fire safety video here.
Alert everyone. This is normally done.
Right. So it's just a way to get much more engaging content again with your people. So that's just a quick overview. I realize most of this should be on contract and procurement, but does that answer your question? The person asked about BCP.
Yeah, it does. And the question is can your workflow be built into the BCP module as well?
Yeah, of course. So the workflow, I was showing you the steps of the workflow. Like
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I just wanted to know, just a yes and a no is good enough. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Great.
A few more.
Yes, thanks. That very important question, actually. Gentleman called Amit. Did Kinja supports or does Kinja support integration with multiple third-party applications also?
Yeah.
Such as Outlook, Salesforce, CRM.
Yeah. So
Mailchimp,
remember I told you that one of the keys for enterprise is that they customize. So we've already done a number of integrations, third-party integrations. I don't know which one you're interested in, but if we haven't done the integration yet, we're happy to do that, and do that at a pretty reasonable cost, because we want to do integrations are good because it helps us with other customers too.
Okay. Related, I think it's a comment by Arvi, but Arvi, you can clarify me, correct me. Is there a restriction? No, sorry. What did you say? I'm sure it provides API to connect to other inbound applications.
Yeah, we have a whole API. It's a JSON interface, so we can talk to a lot of different applications. And again, we do our own integration, so so you don't have to go to an SI vendor and have this expensive thing. It's just we do the whole thing, one cost to you.
Great, thank you very much. Next one,
A
once again.
related question.
Yes, please.
So for those softwares which cannot use JSON or your specific API, do you also build custom connectors?
Yeah, we can. Again, it would be more expensive because then we have to get into it a bit more, but we can. Remember, customize was the key word here. Is so can we? The answer is yes. There's going to be a cost, but we try to work it out to something that matches your budget.
Great, thank you very much. Just entering into the last 5 minutes, so going a bit fast. 2 more questions are already there. Onkar asks, can we get contractors' performance score alert before a renewal of contract?
Their score. Okay, so you put the vendor score up, and then you want to see that what their score is before the contract. So the way we would do it is you would put the you'd have a room for each contract. You'd have the vendor score stored in their room, and can you get the score? So the way we would do it is
alert. Yes.
Yeah, score results. So there would be a template. So what we do is there's a template, and then when you upload the document, the template would say, here's a task that gets sent out to the person, right? And so it's a little bit there's a template, but somebody actually has to click yes to that and upload the document. But based on that, then yes, you would get an alert.
Great. Thank you very much. As of now, known to me, the last question, which is from RV. Is there a restriction on number of roles in this, or unlimited role access can be created?
So so there's an unlimited number of rooms that are the price that we gave is not for the enterprise for any use case. It's for contract management, right? But the roles that we have right now is well, you have a role in a room of an editor, deputy owner, or a viewer, and at a system level, there's an admin, there's a curator, there's a user. But if you want to add roles in addition to that, we can, again, we can customize. Actually, we have the ability to do custom roles very easily.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question, which may be not related to Kenja, but I'm still putting it to you, Kevin, Ted, sorry. Islam asking, in COVID-19 era, is it important to ask vendor to share their BCP and DRP?
Yeah, I think COVID exposed a lot of weaknesses in the system, right? And as you know, if you try to get to 99.999, you have to make sure that the exceptions are now checked as well, right? And so if you talk about, especially in manufacturing, where supply chain is very, very important to integrate your supply chain, you don't have 99.99 without checking your supply chain. So I think that BCP is increasingly something that you want to pass on to your vendor, and being able to audit that in some form is important.
Great. Thank you very much. And Ted, if there are more questions coming up, do you have more time if we extend the time?
Sure.
5 minutes or so?
Sure. I'm happy
Okay.
to.
All right.
Stay
So
on.
Ted has time. To the audience, participants, please, if you have any more questions, please feel free to raise now.
And if you're not, you can feel free to actually, we should formally end it, and so that the people who don't.
We have a couple of questions coming up, Ted.
Okay, sure.
So it's not full name, Alan asking, can this application send an auto alert when the contract is about to expire?
Yes. Well, auto is all relative, but there's a template that we set up, and the template says contracts, when they're loaded up, there's a task that's created 9 months in advance, right? And so that is automated. So 9 months in advance, it would go out. One of the features that, again, we improve our product by getting feedback, but one of the things that we're just implementing in our next release is the ability to do auto renewal, a task that gets continually updated. So every year it comes up and it will automatically create a new task on it.
Good. Thank you very much. The next one, how easy is it to migrate contracts from one vendor to another when there are mergers?
So you have two companies and you're part of one, and then you've now merged the two departments, and you're asking how easy it is to merge the contracts from the two. Well, it depends on what systems that they obviously have, right? One has E plus, and another one has whatever, it's just using SharePoint or whatever. If you have two different things, a lot of times it can be confusing and a whole integration work. If you have that situation, a lot of times it may be easier to do greenfield and just consider something new. And one of the things that we do is we do provide consulting services, and if you need migrations done, we can do that as well. So, and we can do that at pretty reasonable costs. So that's one thing to consider.
Great, thanks, Ted. The last one, most likely from me. The moment you said SharePoint, that reminds me that Kenja Rooms has some upper hand over SharePoint. So if you would like to spend a minute on that, that'll be great help.
Sure. SharePoint, let me be quite frank on SharePoint, is that Microsoft is one of those companies which, if you decide on a Microsoft, I've rarely seen companies just say no to Microsoft, right? And if you do say no to Microsoft solutions, SharePoint is kind of a little bit of the center of the Microsoft ecosystem. But if you're not part of that, and you're looking for a content management system, I can tell you that the stuff out there like Google Drive or Dropbox or something does not cut it as a content management system because of share rights. Box does, but the problem is that Box doesn't have publishing and many of the other features that we have. So SharePoint. So if you wanted to move off of SharePoint, that's one question. But the other thing more likely is that people are like, well, I have SharePoint and I don't particularly like it. What can I do? Right. So we have a connector with SharePoint. It's a little bit of an older connector, and so the SharePoint connector, basically what it allows you to do is SharePoint is very, very bad at external access of data. You cannot do it. And so we have secure access published rooms, and that's one thing that you can do that SharePoint cannot do. And the other use case on SharePoint is that if you want to do disaster recovery from SharePoint, so ransomware, right? A lot of times your data itself is protected, but what if SharePoint itself is hacked, right? And you can't display the information now. Well, that's what we can do now, is we can do a DR case for that as well, using published rooms from Kensho.
Thank you very much, Ted. We have gone a couple of minutes past the scheduled time. People have started leaving. We respect that. So thanks to you, Ted. Thanks to everyone who participated. If you have any more questions, please feel free to write to us and we'll be happy to respond back. If you have any question, if you'd like more information about this, can you type yes in the chat box as of now? If you would like to have more information about contract management through Kenja Rooms or otherwise other capabilities of Kenja Rooms,
yeah,
please
if you want me to talk about anything, or you want more clarification of something, I'd be happy to stay on for a little bit longer.
Just type in yes.
Daman,
Yes, please.
if I may add, we will be sending across an email to all participants.
Yeah.
It will have the YouTube link as well. And what Ted very kindly offered during the session, and we can have the engagement from there on as well. So we already have a couple of yeses out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Great. Thank you very much.
But the final thing is I'm serious about that discounted for this show only. So if you're interested in that, please make sure to get back to Core.
I like those 3 slides, Ted. Thank you very much. I would say that's the achievement of the session. A request to all: if you all want to switch on your cameras now, we would like to take a group photograph also.
Oh, we should have done the group photograph when there were more people, but I guess you can only do one screenshot anyway, right? Yeah.
And if you can unshare your screen, Ted, then we'll see all
Yeah,
people.
I'll do that. Okay, let me unshare my screen.
Can you all switch on the cameras, please? If you wish, like to. I mean, it's not mandatory, but it'll be good to have a good group picture. Thanks, Arvi, Chanchal. Anyone else coming up? People are shy, it seems.
A lot of shy people today.
Okay, I think Dheeraj is up. Anyone else, please? I'll just name Syed, Garima, Nitin, Onkar, Padmanabha, Deepak, Richard, Clement, Sushil, Amit, Islam, Anita, anyone? And here I go. You can smile to the best of your capabilities.
Hey, hi.
Thank you very much. And once again, thanks a lot to everyone. Special thanks to Ted. And repeating, without you all participants, any such session will not be successful. So we'll keep bringing more to you and keep participating. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice weekend.